the loyalty to oneself is greater than the loyalty to society.
So how can I be happy in a society where everything's rigged against me? Redistribution of resources can actually positively modify human behavior.
The idea of when you have adversity, that there is hope after that is important.
A society can literally tell its people, regardless of the work you do, you are a worthy human being. And that's what egalitarianism does.
Welcome to Think Twice. You've probably watched a few episodes now and you know the crack of the show. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching and listening to us. We really do appreciate it. My name is Ben Urbano.
My name's Sam Tef.
And today we're discussing egalitarianism. And when you hear egalitarianism, you're thinking, what does that mean? Probably. That's generally the case with these philosophy episodes. It's like, what are you lot talking about? But it's just a fancy word for equality, essentially. It's the ideology that people deserve equality. And whether that's redistribution of wealth, income, resources, and opportunity, which is slightly different to socialism, which focuses more on shared ownership and collective responsibility. What about you, Tef?
Yeah, I think socialism and egalitarianism are very closely linked, but they both point to the idea that all people are equal and they deserve the same rights and opportunities. So I'm excited to get into it today.
Yeah, like a lot of people say they believe in equality. And we'll find out today
Where are you going with that?
You really believe in equality or not.
Okay, let's see.
You know what Tef's like by now, innit? So we'll see. Leading us on to our first question, which is, would egalitarianism lead to a happier society?
Absolutely, I think it would. I think it would lead to a happier society for a number of reasons. I think overall, the fairness and justice in that society would increase and people are going to be happier as a result. And I think it also emphasizes individual self-worth. You are worthy, regardless of the work you do or what you do outside of who you are a worthy human being. And everyone wants to hear that. Like, that's a very noble doctrine to me. And I think if you tell people that they're worthy, they're going to be happier. Self-worth is a massive part of happiness.
Yeah.
And I think for those two reasons, principally, it would make society happier. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Really?
I think I agree with you that it would lead to a fairer society, but I'm unsure whether it would actually lead to a happier society. When I did the research on it, happy is like quite a complex subject.
Of course.
But there were three things that were key to happiness, which was autonomy, freedom, and identity. And I'd argue those three things are probably better in a capitalist society. I believe that you probably get more autonomy, more freedom, and more ability to develop your own sense of identity in a capitalist society.
Sure, but I would say that, I completely agree with you, by the way. I do think those three things do contribute to happiness. Like, those three things, if you increase those, people do become happier. But in a sense, I think those three things, when you increase them, you are increasing people's self-worth. You're giving them opportunity, which is what egalitarianism is about. You have opportunity to determine who you are. You have opportunity to determine what your life looks like. And I think egalitarianism increases those things. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm not truly like disagree. I'm not all the way on the other side.
Sure.
But if I understand those three things and what you're saying is as a society that would be happier. But the issue with that is we don't have the data. So like maybe the median or the mean or the average would suggest that society would be happier, but we don't have that data. So what we can do from what we do know is basically extrapolate the data of an individual. And if I understand those three things would improve, is better in a capitalist society for an individual, then maybe as an individual, if I extrapolate that to every single person, and those three things improve, therefore society as a whole will be happier. And it's not that simple. Do you know what I mean? Like,
of course, yeah.
It's not that simple,
so
but
complex issues.
Exactly. We don't have the data for a whole society.
Sure.
But we have the understanding for an individual. And basically that's how I came to the idea that it would be a fairer society, but would it be a happier society? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think touching on your previous point about those three factors, in a sense, the way I see it is that the three factors you mentioned are pointing towards the same thing that egalitarianism pointing to, which is about individual self-worth. And in my mind, I'm like, why can't we just go and attack individual self-worth, the problem of that, directly, head on, rather than doing it via autonomy? Do you see what I'm trying to say? A society can literally tell its people, you are worthy, just full stop. And that's what egalitarianism does. Rather than doing it via autonomy, we can do it at source.
So you're basically saying the essence of them being born and being alive is enough.
That's enough. Rather than in a capitalist society, what happens in a capitalist society is that someone's worth to society on some level is equated to what they achieve and what they produce in that capitalist system. And I think that's the bit that capitalism takes away. And people's self-worth can be reduced and impacted when they don't produce as much as their neighbor or as much as the person they see on Instagram.
I think that's interesting. And I think on the surface, I would enjoy that. But I don't know if human behavior can truly find self-worth in that. Maybe through evolution, we've kind of lost that. And the idea of competition with your neighbor makes it kind of difficult to accept that you have self-worth for just being.
Yeah.
I like the notion.
Yeah.
In reality, I don't know if the notion is valuable.
What we can do is we can try and work backwards to a time when we didn't have capitalism, right? Like anthropology is obviously the study of humans, how humans behave and the societies they produce. And we could go to a time before capitalism where we were tribal and we were hunter-gatherers. And we can ask ourselves, like, those are egalitarian systems. So in a sense, we could extrapolate that the natural human state before capitalism is an egalitarian one. So it can work in a sense where people are egalitarian and it's not in their human nature to compete with each other. It's their nature to collaborate.
But potentially.
Right. You throw that out there. Are you catching it?
If we didn't have the society we have today, but if we, for example, tried to transition to egalitarianism, I don't think it would make for a happier society. And going with the idea that people generally don't like change, the idea that you would then change from a capitalist society to an egalitarian society, I don't think would make a happier society.
Yeah, let's touch on fairness and justice a little bit though. Surely if you're playing a game that's unfair, you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree.
And I'd say, like, I think we could probably both agree that capitalism has a little bit of, at the very least, a little bit of unfairness baked into capitalism. So surely that part of capitalism is retracting from people's happiness because it's a rigged game in a sense. Do you get what I'm trying to say? For some, yeah, it's rigged for some, yeah. And for others, it's rigged against them. Do you know what I mean? If it's rigged for some, it's going to be rigged against some other people. So how can I be happy in a society where everything's rigged against me?
But what you're missing, I think, is people don't know it's rigged against them.
No, they do.
I don't know if everyone does. Yeah. I don't know if everyone does.
I think a single mother who's raising 3 kids on food stamps and is fighting for her life to make ends meet every month understands that the game is rigged against her. Like,
okay, pick an example where it is rigged. What I'm saying is there are people that don't know. And when they don't know, they believe that, like, a meritocratic society where they work hard and they try really hard, that they'll be successful. And they're able to develop.
Is that right?
Well, but that's not the question. We can answer that if you like, but that's not the question.
Is it right?
That's not the question. So, no, I don't think egalitarianism would lead to a happy society, but I do believe that it would lead to a fairer society. And you can make the argument that a fairer society is a happier society.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And you can definitely make the argument, and I definitely agree with the idea that an unfair society would be an unhappy society.
Yeah, agreed.
On to the second question. Does redistribution of resources undermine individual merit?
I think it does, and I think it has to. Because in a capitalist system, merit equals money. Your work is rewarded with money, and you can quantify your merit in a capitalist system with how much you earn, how much your net worth is. And I think when you redistribute those resources, we're taking money from the people who have too much and giving to the people who don't have enough. And in that sense, we are undermining individual merit on some level. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was really torn. And I wanted to agree with you, but I just don't.
Okay.
So merit generally suggests some type of reward recognition for work done, right?
Sure, yeah.
And you're still able to have reward and recognition from the work you do.
After the redistribution of resources.
Precisely.
Sure.
And what I looked at was like why people would want individual merit, right? And there was this list that I came up with. Recognition, validation, fairness, justice, autonomy, personal agency, innovation, progress, social mobility, and opportunity. None of which is detracted from by redistribution of resources.
Right, okay.
And I think that's the critical part that I didn't think any of those things of why people would want individual merit is taken away from by redistribution of resources.
On your list, did you have money? Like, was there earnings on that list?
Surely, I feel like money is a representation of recognition.
Sure. So if I redistribute resources and I take a little bit of that person's capital recognition and I give it to someone who has less, I've undermined them in a way, right? It's not massively, but I've undermined it a little bit.
No, but I'm working with the idea that you don't understand what you might have been paid. Does that make sense?
Right,
so like,
okay, yeah.
You're working from the idea that this person earns this and...
We're coming into their pocket.
Exactly, we're coming into their pocket. And I'm not working from that. I'm working from the idea that you don't know how much you're going to be paid and the society as a whole understands redistribution of wealth. Therefore, you're slightly taken from people without knowing. That's just how much they're paid in that society.
I guess in my mind, the socialist in me is talking. And I'm thinking when we redistribute resources, not only will we change the tax system, i.e. what people receive from their work, but there would also be some sort of wealth tax. Like there has to be a wealth tax because there's entrenched capital buried in accounts and estates all over this country that needs to be extracted from. You see what I'm saying? And I think at that point, people would feel it. Like they'd know, okay, shit, like the government's coming for my estate.
That's fine, but does that undermine individual merit? I don't think that does.
Yeah, no, you're making a good point, to be fair. You're making a good point.
If you have redistribution of resources, you're essentially...
disincentivizing people?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So the argument against redistribution of wealth is incentivization. And people would say, why do you work hard without incentivization? And that's a very important point.
Sure.
But what's often missed with incentivization is at the heart of it, there's greed and exploitation.
Right.
Because basically incentivization operates on the principles of like operant conditioning. So it essentially means that when people do something, they're rewarded for it.
Right.
And what is confused with that reward is exploitation. So for example, if we take the 2008 financial crisis,
sure,
the brokers thought that that was individual merit by getting their bonuses, getting their commissions
at any cost.
At any cost.
Right.
But what essentially happened was it disadvantaged other people.
Right. Right.
And that's what it perpetuates, really. And in a society that has redistribution of wealth, you won't think, oh, I have to go and get my bonuses. I have to go and get that.
It polishes off the most extreme behaviors.
Precisely.
Right.
And actually creates a happier society.
Right.
And then...
Are you contradicting what you said in the first question?
Maybe. It may. You may get a happier society.
But that is a good point. I think when you incentivize like go get the money, that top level, the worst greed that comes out in humans, disincentivizing that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So frankly, redistribution of resources can actually positively modify human behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And the desire for individual merit will actually decrease. So what you were saying with the wealth tax, people won't think I need it.
Right.
Whilst in the current society that we live in, people believe that they need it.
Yeah.
And that will change with the redistribution of wealth. And I don't think that undermines individual merit, and it decreases the bar for individual merit also.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's it.
That was slightly convoluted, that point.
I got you.
But you understood,
yeah, absolutely. We've arrived at the hottest segment on YouTube.
Great.
What are you saying, Ben? You ready?
I'm very ready. Let's
you must be ready. You wrote it.
I did. Let's find out. Let's find out if you truly believe in equality.
Before we find out whether I truly believe in equality, we're going to find out whether you truly believe in what you're saying in question 2. Okay. I feel like question 1 and 2 you contradict yourself, but I'll let the viewers decide which bends they want to take.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. This is called the hiring manager conundrum. You are a hiring manager responsible for filling a crucial role in your company. After a rigorous selection process, you've narrowed it down to 2 highly qualified candidates. One candidate is your friend from school, and the other is a stranger who brings slightly more experience to the table. Both candidates possess the necessary qualifications and are capable of performing the job well. Who do you hire?
I'm hiring my friend.
Fair enough. Fair.
I understand that equality is important. And truly, I really wish that I could hire the other person.
Right.
But I believe my loyalty and obligations lies with my friend. And therefore, it has to be him.
Fair enough. And I think, look, it's not clear to me that if you hired the stranger, you'd be doing something immoral here. I don't think you're not contributing to equality. Do you know what I'm trying to say? For me, I'm also hiring my friend. Yeah. I think I'm hiring my friend. It's fairly straightforward for me on this scenario. But if the scenario changes and the other candidate has slightly more experience, but is a minority, does that change things for you?
And my friend isn't a minority.
Correct.
I'm still hiring my friend. That's actually a very interesting question. Because
right.
I believe the loyalty to oneself is greater than the loyalty to society. And I believe if you have a friend who you innately believe you are loyal to and believe that is your friend that you've known for a very long time,
sure,
that trumps your loyalty to trying to improve society.
Fair enough. I think this actually points to...
What do you do, sorry? Go on, a little talk.
Maybe subconsciously I'm trying to avoid that. So let's narrow it down a little bit more. If my friend is not a minority and the qualified person is black, I'll probably hire the qualified person. Because I have a sense...
That wasn't the question you asked me, though.
Yeah, I said minority.
So who's black in this situation?
Not your friend. You say your friend's white.
Yeah.
And the other candidate is black. Does that change things?
That wouldn't change it. There's not many situations in which I'm going to hire anyone that's not my friend, to be honest.
Yeah, so to me, the maths changes if that candidate is black. Like, black people are 3% of the UK population. I have a commitment and a duty to my friend, sure. But I've also got a duty to my community. I think if this person is of a minority, like I'm talking not able-bodied, black, like I said, not straight.
LGBTQ or something.
Right. So one of these things is going to start to change the maths for me. And I think I've got a duty to, especially my own community, like especially black people. I've got a community that I need to uplift. I'm in a position of power and I can uplift my community. I've got to do it in that scenario. Because if we think about the lifespan of that person, that candidate's life, they've gone into multiple hiring situations. They've gone into multiple scenarios where they have been disadvantaged throughout school, throughout university, throughout the workplace. And I'm trying to balance the books here. You see what I'm trying to say?
But I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to do that. But I think my relationship to my friend overcomes that?
Look, I think there's merit to both ways. I think what would it take for you to
like one of the boys like from school or something, or someone that you've known from a young age, and some random geezer, you choose the random geezer? Genuine.
One of the man them.
It didn't have to be one of the man them. Like, you're cool with the brother. You liked him at school. You still chat and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, he has your phone number. So like, when the job comes up, like, he's talking to you on the phone. Like,
I'm not stabbing him in the back. Like, I'm gonna talk to him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And explain my decision. But yeah, what, a black person? You must be bluffing. A black person who's more qualified.
It's tough because I don't have that many white friends from school.
Exactly.
I don't have them, so it's like it's kind of hard for me to
conceptualize it. Yeah,
precisely. But I'd imagine like if he was actually my friend that I'm that close with, that
he'd probably be black.
Probably, but nonetheless, like I'd probably hire them than that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine if I feel that way about them, that they're my brethren, like they're my friend, that I wouldn't do that.
I hear what you're trying to say, and maybe some of my friends are watching this thinking, "What the fuck, Tef? What are you talking about?" But black comes first.
Interesting.
What would it take then for you to take the candidate? Like, what is there any scenario that you can conceptualize where you take the candidate over your friend? Are we doing this nepotism thing?
So we're accepting the idea that they're good enough for the job, right?
Yeah.
So if they're good enough for the job, I don't know. There's probably not like a...
There's not a lot of scenarios, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of one in which I would choose someone else over them.
Fair enough. Look, you're loyal to the end. I'll give you that.
Got my people to the death, bro. To the death.
I got my people. My people are just the niggas. Okay.
That's your boy though, like.
No, hold on.
Let's go back to this, like. So this next brother, you would invite to your wedding, like. But your boy, you'd invite him to your wedding, like.
To be fair, he's my friend, yeah?
Yeah, like. You
That's not the man them.
No. But you invite him to your wedding, like. You're good, like. He's calling you on the phone, like. You're good. I genuinely can't see.
If he's coming to my wedding, yes, he's in. But I'd never thought it was that deep. I thought he's a friend from school, like school friend, like. We were cool at school.
No, but he's belling your phone when the job comes up and you're talking like you're comfy, like.
Right. In my mind, I pictured it like we don't talk that often, but he's applied for the job. He knows me, so he's called me up. I'm the hiring manager, obviously. He knows me, he's called me up. And that's the situation we're going in with.
And you ain't spoken for like 10 years.
Yeah, we're not like on a level like that.
Okay, then there I'm probably with you.
Right. Okay.
I'm talking like this is your boy, like not your boy, but you're good. Like he's good enough to invite to your wedding. Like.
Yeah, then he's in. Because then at that point, my duty to him trumps the more general duty I have to black people in the UK.
Quality, innit? Is it,
okay.
You take any opportunity.
Come on, man. Hear me out. There was a philosopher called John Rawls. He came up with this idea called the veil of ignorance. And what the veil of ignorance is a thought experiment that asks the participants to imagine that they were an alien coming to Earth and they get to construct Earth in a socio-economic way from scratch. The catch is you have to live on this society that you create, and you can fall anywhere on the socio-economic ladder that you yourself have created. And the thought experiment that John Rawls has come up with there sort of invites us to think, okay, if we don't know where we're going to end up on the ladder, like what kind of society we're going to create? We're obviously going to create the fairest society we can because we don't know ourselves where we're going to end up. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So my question to you is that in that scenario where you get to construct society from scratch and you can shed everything that we know about society today, would you choose a capitalist system?
You probably would. I probably would choose.
Really?
Simply because I think I'm an optimist at heart. So like the idea that what capitalism does, or what society as we understand it at the moment, like an individualistic society at the moment does, is provide hope. And I think hope is important because not many things really go your way in life for the majority, for the most part. For some people it might be different, but for the most part, you have like a fair amount of adversity.
Right.
And the idea of when you have adversity, that there is hope after that is important. And that's where I land on that probably.
I do agree with you that there is an element of hope in capitalism, but I actually think it's the opposite. I think capitalism detracts from your actual chances of making it and living a happy life in a material sense. Because sure, we have hope, but what are the actual chances that you go from 0 to hero in capitalism? Like, it's slim. If you're born into poverty, you've got so much going against you, like so much from every angle as a child, that it's kind of peak. Like, you're gonna suffer as a child and you're gonna continue to suffer because of what happened to you in childhood.
Precisely. And you've looked at it from, you could be born at the top as well. So
yeah,
there's also a factor, like,
right.
when you're saying what you're going to choose, like, you're hoping that you're obviously born with a silver spoon and the rest of it. But even if you're not, even if you're born somewhere in the middle, you believe you can get to that point. And if you're born at the bottom, you still believe you can get to that point until you understand what comes with it. But you still believe you can.
Which is the point, which is, in reality, is that belief and hope, is that based on actual facts? It's not.
No.
It's a hope.
Yeah,
that's just like an emotional thing. But that's not fair, surely. If people are going to be at the bottom,
well, you ask me what I would choose.
Yeah, but surely you want to...
It's not fair.
It's not fair. The reason I'm asking you that is that the point of the thought experiment is that most people pick a society that's fair because they don't want to be in a situation that's unfair. What are you saying? You're just a gambling man.
What?
You're just going to roll the dice.
You're asking like someone whose profession is like 0.01% or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, you're going to think, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the person that
gets... The thing is, I know you. You're optimist, but you're also a realist.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going at this with no true understanding of how it's going to play out.
Sure.
Right? So we're going with just the ideology and just the thought of it.
Yeah. The thought experiment.
Exactly. And if you're just going with the thought of it, like, I might be good. Like, is the idea that you're thinking of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, in reality, it's not the case. And I totally accept that. But at least when you're going to choose a society to live in, it's one that you think that provides hope.
Fair. For me, though, I'm like trying to flatten the socio-economic ladder as much as possible so that everyone has equal opportunity, equal resources to flourish. Because that way is like, obviously in a self-interested way, I will never be at the bottom because I've created a society where there is no bottom. But also I think that's the fair way to construct society. Sure, I'm a bit of an idealist in this scenario, but...
Yeah. And capitalism for another episode anyway.
Yeah, or you can go watch that. But yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. See you soon.
See you next week. Take care.
Much love.
Yeah, cool. All right.
I just want to double check everything quickly.
Sound?
Yeah. You good to get going?
Yeah, I'm ready. Good stuff.